What's up, guys, and welcome to my review for Abigail. This is from the directors of Ready or Not and Scream 5 and 6, and it stars Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Catherine Newton, in a story where criminals abduct a young girl and they're taking her to this abandoned mansion. One thing leads to another, and they get locked inside the mansion with the young girl who turns out to be a vampire. Before we get into the review, hit that subscribe button. Come on back to the channel. If you're looking up reviews for Abigail, looking up for reviews for newer films that are hitting digital, coming to the theaters, what have you, hit that subscribe button. It's free, doesn't cost you a thing. So, Abigail, look, this is a film that, when I saw the trailers for it, I said, this is looking pretty entertaining. I'm a big fan of Ready or Not. I think that's the strongest film of all of the films that I just mentioned. Like Scream 5. I think 6 is better, um, even though it does have its problems on a rewatch. But yeah, so now we have Abigail, which I think is the weakest film of these four movies that I just mentioned, the two Scream films, Ready or Not, and this. I don't think this is a bad movie, but I do think I would prefer those other three films over this. This movie is kind of hit and miss with me. I think when it's going, it's going. But when it's not going, it's really not going. And when I say that, I mean the pacing. This movie feels too long because it does drag in points. When characters are going around corners with flashlights and things are moving kind of slow, it feels really slow and it doesn't feel very suspenseful. I don't think there's any tension in this movie. I think they went for it a little bit. They tried to put a little tension in there and suspense. I don't think there's any suspense in this film. I think that, a lot of the humor does work, but then there's also times when the humor doesn't work. But like I said, I think the humor works more often than not. It's like 75-25 with the humor. And the performances are really good too. It's one of the strongest things of the film. I think Melissa Barrera is good. Her story is good. But Dan Stevens is great, and Catherine Newton is also great. They are the two standouts of this film for me. But the other standout is Kevin Durant, who is kind of a guy that looks like Elon Musk. I'm probably not the only one that has made that comparison, but they look very similar. And he also plays the villain in the new Planet of the Apes movie that's coming out this week. That I just read on Twitter that Elon Musk was an inspiration for that villain in that film. So I don't know if it's because he looks like this guy, but he was funny. He had some of the funniest moments in the film for me. I thought the makeup effects were great. I thought every time you see blood and guts and gore, it looks really, really good. I think the little girl who plays Abigail is fantastic. I guess the biggest downfall of the film for me is, like I said, it feels a little too long. And when things start to feel a little repetitive, how many times can I watch somebody getting thrown into a bookshelf or thrown into a wall until I go, okay, this is getting a little repetitive and it's getting a little too much. The film does feel like it probably could have ended at least 5 or 10 minutes before it actually did. This film, it's entertaining when it's entertaining, but it is boring at points too. The performances are good. I like the overall story. I think it's pretty immersive, but I don't think it's scary if they try to be scary. I don't think it's more funny. This is more like a horror comedy, which I think Ready or Not plays into, but in a better way. Where I think that movie does add a bit of suspense. And with the Scream films, I think there's a fine line between horror and comedy. But this, I feel like, just leaned a little too much into the comedy side of it for me, which made me not really get emotionally invested into it, even though I was more like intrigued into the story and to the characters. So in the end of the day, Abigail, like I said, when it goes, it goes. So I liked the movie overall. I just didn't love it or like it as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to give the film 3.5 out of 5 stars. A very strong 3.5 out of 5 stars. But, it does have its problems. Is it rewatchable? Yes. I just feel like you might have your hand on the fast forward button a couple times throughout. So that's where I'm at with that, guys. Comment down below. Did you see the film? What did you think about it? It's available on digital now for purchase. You can also, I don't know if it's still playing in theaters. I think it might still be playing in theaters. Also, like I said before, hit that subscribe button. Come on back for future content. We've got coming reviews for Godzilla X Kong, The Ministry of Ungenly Warfare. I've got an early screening for Garfield. Very excited to be checking that out. Also, we've got a bunch of reviews up on the channel now for anniversaries. Spider-Man 2, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Also got a review for Spider-Man 3, and a bunch of other new releases like Arthur the King, Monkey Man, Love Lies Bleeding. All that's up on the channel now. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter and or X at RyanKing72 and Instagram and TikTok at KingRises131. Thank you so much for watching my review for Abigail. And until next time, over and out.